Alrighty, I think I'm live for another new comic book weekly. If you guys are regular viewers, you know what the deal is here, but we're going to be going over my weekly comic book pull list. As you guys can see, we'll get into it. I'll show you guys what's on my pull list. We'll talk about it. And we're also going to be doing some reviews. So, everything that came out last week for New Comic Book Day, you guys know that last week was a huge week for the Absolute Universe. So, we're going to get into those reviews. Great week for comic books. I think there's 10 things in total that I want to talk about very quickly. And then the big topic for today's New Comic Book Day is taking a look at all of the issue number ones that are coming out in February. So these series, new comic book series that are starting in February, or just the one shots, just in general, we'll talk about it. So yeah, that's the plan for today. Pull list, comic book reviews, and then getting into all of the number ones that I find interesting for the month of February. But with that being said, let's start off with the pull list, of course, because it's a pretty nice one. We've got 10 comic book pulls for the week of February 4th for a total of $49.90. Just under that $50 budget. I like to stay just under. And yeah, let's get into it. So, pick of the week, dude. Gotta be honest, it's Absolute Superman 16. Absolute Superman number 15 was so good. It's Superman coming into his own. He is the Superman of this universe finally. And we're just loving all of the stuff from Jason Aaron. The artwork from Juan Ferrara is excellent as well. So yeah, dude, I definitely think that Absolute Superman number 16 is my pick of the week. We know that this version of Kal is going to be facing off against the absolute version of the Hawkman. This guy's bad. We know from Forever Evil. Wait, not Forever Evil. I said that as a mistake as well. It's called Absolute Evil, that one shot. Not Forever Evil. That's a totally different thing. What's up, Paul Dev in the chat? That moment with the kid with cancer in issue 15 was so sad, man. That was my favorite issue, that favorite part of that issue. And it's crazy because it's just like a 2-panel sequence, but it just says so much about this Absolute Superman. So I agree with you, Paul Dev. That stuff was excellent. Jason Aaron knows how to pull the heartstrings. Definitely agree with that. And I think that, you know, the first arc was going on for so long. Like maybe that's the only critique I can come up with is just, hey, it'd be nice to kind of move on from the Battle of Smallville. We're kind of doing that for a little bit. But I think that with issue 15, we're set up for a really, really interesting arc. Issue 15 was a great place to start. You guys can pick up 15, then pick up 16 and get reading. Jason Aaron, Juan Ferrara, Superman, Absolute Superman issue number 16. Excited about that. Just look on the cover. Like we're going to be getting a Hawkman and an Absolute Superman fight. That's pretty cool. Let's also talk about Batman number 6. This might close out the first ever arc for this all new Batman series from Matt Fraction and Jorge Jimenez. Issue 5 was excellent. It was very action packed. The whole thing just ripped. It was essentially a failed little date night Bruce Wayne was trying to go on with this scientist girl. They get chased by this new villain called like the Ojo. I thought it was pretty sick, and it looks like we're keeping it going with issue number 6. After he survives the night from hell, the long night isn't over for Bruce Wayne. While he juggles multiple needs as Bruce, Hugo Strange's monster men attack a petrochemical facility and force Batman into action. Gotham City becomes a powder keg as superstars Matt Fraction and Jorge Jimenez continue their acclaimed run on the Caped Crusader. Overall, it's like, okay, what's the story kind of going on with this Batman run? It's not like the most exciting thing in the world, but I am tuned into it. I think Matt Fraction has a good eye for his Batman characterization, right? It's just like what's going on? Like where are you getting us to, right? Like we got Vandal Savage doing this thing. We got the this introduction of the new villain. At the very end of last issue, we know that Damian Wayne accidentally called Bruce, called him Damian accidentally called Bruce like his dad, and the scientist lady's like, what? So what we'll see maybe some fallout of that in this issue number 6, but that's going to be a pretty fun read, I'm sure, from Matt Fraction, Jorge Jimenez. Absolute Green Lantern number 11 is a series that I dropped a while ago. Still on the pull because I do that. That way I know to read issue 10. Like this Wednesday, issue 10 will be on the app. So I guess technically I got 9 pulls for the week, not 10. But anyways, let's talk about Ultimate Wolverine number 14, an Ultimate Endgame tie-in. The search for the missing mutants takes a terrifying turn when Wolverine and Jean Grey discover that the captives may be trapped in Magic's limbo realm. Their mission to find Illyana leads them straight into a brutal battle with the Eurasian Republic's forces, including the devastating all-new Ultimate Lady Deathstrike. So I think that Ultimate Wolverine has been really, really picking up. The last like 3 issues are honestly some of my favorites from the Ultimate Universe, just in general. Like the Ultimate series has had a lot of highs, but this Ultimate Wolverine series, it's action packed. I think the art has been really cool, and this version of Logan, we know that he was like the Winter Soldier, right? Like I think that it's just working for me. So Ultimate Wolverine, issue 14, Chris Condon, Alessandro Cappuccio. So Cappuccio coming back. We know that he was the main artist for this series. And yeah, dude, we're just keeping it going. It's cool seeing Chris Condon. It seems like he's going to be leaning pretty heavy on Marvel. He's doing the Ultimate, what the hell is it called? Reborn, Ultimate Impact, whatever the hell that series is going to be called. Kind of like the fallout of the Ultimate Universe. They got Chris Condon writing that. So it seems like Chris Condon's going to be picking up a lot more work over at Marvel, in addition to that DC series he's doing, the DC Vertigo, Peril of the Brutal Dark, and Ezra Kane Mystery, which I'm really excited about. But yeah, cool seeing Chris Condon doing some work over at Marvel. Let's talk about DC KO Night Fight number 4. So we know that this version of Bruce Wayne, or our main version of Bruce Wayne, he is in sort of like dimension hopping, and right now he's in the dimension or the world or whatever where it's Damian Wayne Robin, and he's kind of gotten it to a place where the world no longer needs a Batman. So that's kind of an interesting take from this Damian, and we'll have to see what kind of comes of that. And we also know that Bruce Wayne is a grandpa in this. We found out at the tail end of the last issue. Excited to see what happens with that. Of course, this isn't like the actual Damian. It's like the Heart of Apocalypse in the DCKO events, kind of playing games with this version of Batman, or our version of Batman. I don't know why I keep saying that, but yeah, pretty interesting stuff on the DCKO side of things. It's not like Night Fight's not like the best series of all time that I've ever read, but it's pretty fun from Josh Williamson and Dan Mora. Always cool seeing his take on the Batman family of characters. So excited about that. Is this the last issue? Yeah, looks like this will conclude. DCKO Night Fight will conclude the series, and we'll have to see how it ends up. It says here on the solicit, will Bruce destroy everything his son has built to overcome the Heart of Apocalypse test and re-enter the DCKO tournament? So we know that the DCKO tournament has 4 remaining fighters. I think it's Lex Luthor, Superman, Joker, and Wonder Woman. So potentially, if Batman can re-enter the tournament somehow, so we'll have to see what happens regarding that. Let's keep it going with Ultimate Endgame issue number 2. The Ultimate Endgame event starting off pretty strong, I will say, like, if you're comparing events, I think DCKO is probably more fun, but it's all been driving to this over in the Ultimate Universe. So, we're anticipating its end. They've been working on it for a really long time in the advertisements and everything, right? So just waiting for this thing to be over finally. The end has only just begun. The heroes of the Ultimate Universe, including Spider-Man, America Chavez, Killmonger, and Doom, desperately search for another way to stop the Maker. Plus, Iron Lad makes a stunning and heartbreaking discovery that could change the fate of the entire Ultimate Universe forever. Don't miss this pivotal chapter that will leave you reeling. So yeah, Ultimate Endgame continues with issue number 2 coming out this Wednesday. Excited about that. DCKO Boss Battle. I forgot if I told my shop I wanted one of these. Hopefully they got a spare one on the rack that I can pick up, because just look at the cover. We got Vampirella coming in. We got Annabelle the doll. I think that's Annabelle. Someone corrected me a little bit ago. You guys can see? Not really. Let me fix this all. You see Annabelle the doll down there? I'll hit Control Z. And then we also have Red Sonja, and then we have Sub-Zero and Scorpion, I think. And then we also have Where's Samantha the Bear? Yeah, you see down there, Samantha the Bear from Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. So craziness, all the different crossovers. So this is a DCKO tie-in. Challenges from beyond the DCU. And let's look at some of the variant covers. We got Homelander versus Superman. Got some Patrick Horvath getting involved. We know that Patrick Horvath is killing it over on the Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees series out of IDW. So that's pretty cool cover. That's actually a really cool cover. Patrick Horvath, cool. Frank Cho been doing some stuff. Jeffrey Spokes with the wraparound variants. And foil variant, blank cover as well. So yeah, boss battle. Number 1, DCKO tie-in. To save our world, they must battle the champions of other worlds. So yeah, excited to get into that, see what's going on. Hopefully my shop can spare me a copy. Let's talk about Batgirl number 16. The War of Shadows must end. Hell has arrived at the heavenly gates of Samsara. Will the League of Shadows save their paradise, or will the unburied reclaim their stolen land? And with it all, who will Batman become in the face of so much death? The finale to the War of Shadows is here, and you don't want to miss it. Sounds like we're getting a arc ender here from Tate Bromble and Miyazawa coming back on the art. That's pretty cool to see. And yeah, this arc has not been the best. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I think the first arc of Batgirl was excellent. So good. The Shiva Year 1 stuff took it down a little bit. And then I guess this arc is a little better than the Shiva Year 1 stuff, but not my favorite still. It's cool. It's just like I'm not like so invested in what's been going on, I guess. So hopefully they can get back to the series peak. Tate Bromwell, Miyazawa getting us back to that first arc. Heard mixed things about this Batgirl series, says Paul Dev. Yeah, I wish I wasn't so mixed on it. Cause like that first arc, I'm serious. Like the first 6 issues of this series are some of the best stuff that was coming out of DC at the time. But I think they kind of lost all that momentum. It's kind of sad to see. It was action packed. I think the Cassandra Cain characterization is really cool. It had a lot of like, pretty compelling, like mother-daughter relationship stuff, as we know that, Shiva's her mom and she's dealing with all that. Kind of the legacy or the legacy of Shiva that's been kind of left. And yeah, so hopefully when issue 17 spins back up in March, she's going back to Gotham. So hopefully they can get us right back to what we were loving about the series when Cassandra Cain gets back to Gotham. But issue 16, excited to see how they wrap up this arc. Maybe this arc can really stick the landing and I'll end up loving it. So we'll have to see. 2 more issues to talk about, like Nice House by the Sea, issue 7. This is a big deal because this is DC Vertigo coming back. It starts this Wednesday. So right after this, it's going to be pretty much weekly after this point. So it's going to be Nice House by the Sea. And then they're doing, the next week is going to be, Bleeding Hearts. And then the next week after that is End of Life, I think. And then after that, it's Peril of the Brood of Dark and Ezra Kane Mystery from Chris Condon and Jacob Phillips. Derek Seaborn in the chat says, what's up? Alex Rogues in the chat also saying, what up? But yeah, Nice House by the Sea. Definitely, you got to be reading the first, Nice House on the Lake. And then you got to read the first 6 issues, or else issue 7 is not going to make any sense to you. But we're excited to see this series returning. It's been a really long time. James Tynion IV, Alvaro Martinez Bueno, and Jordi Belair, of course. Excellent creative team on that. So looking forward to it. Bleeding Hearts, I'm looking forward to. Derek Seaborn says in the chat. That one is probably my number 2 out of the whole DC Vertigo initial wave they got coming. Definitely Bleeding Hearts. I'm anticipating that for sure. Dennis Camp just continuing his excellent 2025. So we're looking forward to that. Tommy B in the chat says, so hype for Bleeding Hearts as well. Dude, this is cool because we're going to get into all of the issue number 1s right after I do the comic book reviews. So one of the things we're talking about in that will be Bleeding Hearts and all the other Vertigo titles for February. So definitely stay tuned. But to finish off the pull list, right? Last thing, we got High Strangeness, issue number 4. I think this series is ending at 5, so I'm just going to keep pulling it. It's like an anthology horror type of thing out of Oni Press. First one dealt with like aliens. The second one I think deals with Second one deals with like Sasquatch, I think. Yeah, Sasquatch. So they all kind of deal with different conspiracy theory type of stuff from Oni Press. Been pretty fun. It's not my favorite series of all time, but I was gonna continue pulling it in full. But yeah, that's what we have for the weekly pull list for February 4th. We got 10 comics. I guess technically we got 9 because Absolute Green Lantern will not be on my pull list. So that's gonna be 9 comics for a total of, I don't know, dude, like $45. So looking forward to New Comic Book Day, February 4th, of course. Let me know down in the comments what you're looking forward to. And yeah, while you're down there, leaving a comment, like if you like, sub if you love. And of course, I'm doing the weekly pull list every single week. So yeah, look forward to that. All right, let's get into the weekly comic book reviews. So we got 10 things. Like I was saying earlier, big Absolute Universe week. There was 4 stuff that came out from the Absolute Universe last week. So let's get into it, man. And actually, let's start off with Absolute Batman number 16. This was the crossover between Absolute Batman, Absolute Wonder Woman, and I thought it was excellent, dude. This was so sick. I think that, Scott Snyder has a real knack for writing Batman as he's shown throughout the series, but turns out he can write a good Diana Wonder Woman as well. Bruce is trying to get help from Diana to, see if she has a way to transform Waylon back into his normal form. He's turning into a crocodile at the hands of Bane and all the evil people at Arc M. So he's just trying to get his friend back. It's actually kind of sad. But they go into like the underworld, or actually, she says, Batman asks, is this Hades? She says, no, this is a place that exists between the surface world and the underworld. So it's like, okay, Batman's just trying to keep up when it comes to all this magic and stuff like that. I really like this montage sequence as they see Batman and Wonder Woman going through, and they're just chatting, having a good time, becoming more friendly, man. So I really appreciated. They're both just trying to understand each other and explain what the heck's going on. And I get the vibe that they're gonna be friends. You know what I mean? Like I get the vibe that this version of Absolute Batman, he's just so intrigued by this Absolute Wonder Woman, and yeah, so there's all this like magical elements that we haven't been getting in the Absolute Batman series so far. It's been pretty grounded, right? All the magical stuff usually happens on the Absolute Wonder Woman side of things. So it's cool seeing this version of Bruce getting more exposed to that. You got heartbreaking moments like this. It's just like the hole that his dad's death has left for this Absolute Bruce. And yeah, very sad, I guess you could say. But then we get right into a very cool action sequence versus this centaur looking dude, because he has the key to help get Waylon back to normal. So that's the goal, is trying to fight this guy. You get cool moments like Absolute Batman riding Pegasus, dude. Like, this is so sick, man. So yeah, I love this issue. I think that Nick Dragotta killed it on all of the looks, like for this Absolute Diana. This might be, I love Hayden Sherman, loving Hayden Sherman stuff on Absolute Wonder Woman, but this might be the best that Absolute Wonder Woman has looked. That might be a hot take. I just really vibe with Nick Dragotta's artwork. Really cool style. And yeah, mission was successful. Bruce got what he needs. So he goes back to deliver this to Waylon. Hopefully that can get him back to normal. Excellent issue of Absolute Batman. Really cool seeing the crossover stuff. I like that this crossover kind of progressed both of their stories a pretty decent amount. It wasn't just like a crossover just for the sake of having a crossover, right? It felt very in tune with the rest of the series and the rest of the Absolute Universe. Let's talk about Absolute Wonder Woman number 16. An excellent issue from Kelly Thompson, Hayden Sherman. Ooh, actually, I'm going to catch up on comments real quick. Or, questions from you guys. Absolute Batman 16 was amazing. I loved it. Absolute Wonder Woman 16 was peak as well. Gonna review it here in a second. The Cyclops from this issue look like Dragotta's work in Ghost Cage. Nice call out. Nice call out there. If you've read Ghost Cage, you already know that Nick Dragotta is a boss. I mean, you got East to West, of course, but Ghost Cage was actually my first kind of exposure to Nick Dragotta's art style. And then after, like last year, I read East to West, and Nick Dragotta just blew my mind. So yeah, that's a good call out from Ghost Cage. Definitely check that one out. It's like a quick 3-issue series, like real fast read. Do I think the reason Wonder Woman mentioned that the talisman only works 3 times is maybe to tease the last time we'll use when the Absolute Justice League is formed? I see what you're saying, Paul. Like there's something with that. Yeah, like you can only use this talisman 3 times. Like it seems like there's gonna be a third crossover potentially that will like kind of close everything out. Whether that'll be used for the Absolute Justice League, I'm not sure. Hopefully by the time they get to that point, maybe they won't need the talisman anymore. They could just call each other by phone or something like that. You know what I mean? But I'm excited for the potential of Absolute Justice League. Absolutely. All right, let's review Absolute Wonder Woman real quick. I thought this was an excellent issue. All the stuff that features Diana like back in the day as she's like growing up on the island, all that stuff is sick. All the cool backstory stuff we get in this series has been really good. Diana, kind of just like this was the start of an arc, right? So it wasn't like carrying on too much what was happening before. Like there's all that stuff in the maze that happened, but this is like a really great place just to start reading. I don't think you necessarily have to have read, issues number 1 through 15 before you start with this. I think you can start with 16. Great seeing Absolute Wonder Woman trying to have some fun. She's going to this museum grand opening from her friend Barbara has kind of opened this museum, put it all together. So they think that they're just going to go and have a great time viewing some historical artifacts and that sort of thing. We also got an interstitial cut to Diana training on the Wild Isle. Who is she fighting in here? I forgot who this the goddess is that she fights. But this goddess turns into like a tiger lady, and that's a pretty cool fight. You get some great paneling from Hayden Sherman that you know and love. Hayden's always gonna be giving you some cool pages to look at. Very interesting reading experience. And then it cuts back to their time in the museum, and Diana senses something's wrong. What's going on? That's right. It's Absolute Zatanna getting reintroduced to the story. She has put a spell on our version of Wonder Woman. Their magic is tied together. So Absolute Zatanna has total control over Absolute Wonder Woman's, magic. And we'll have to see how Diana gets out of this situation, because as clever as Diana's been in this series so far, she's been able to get out of every situation, sometimes not even fighting, right? Like she gets out of it in very creative ways. I don't know how she gets out of this, man, because in the past, she's used magic. Like that's her main tool to get out of all these things. So without magic, how is she going to fight off this version of the Absolute Suicide Squad? We'll have to see what happens in the next issue. Also, got some tension. You know what I mean? I mean, this is definitely on purpose, but some tension between Absolute Wonder Woman and Absolute Zatanna. They got like a thing going on, man. They got a thing going on for sure. So yeah, Absolute Wonder Woman number 16, another great issue of the series, a great starting point. If you guys haven't been reading it yet, you can jump on with issue 16 and have a great time reading this series. So yeah, excellent Absolute Universe stuff there. It is Artemis, if I remember correctly. That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, Artemis, because the lady with the sheet, that was Aphrodite, right? So it wasn't Aphrodite. I knew that. Okay, cool. Let's talk about Iron Man number 1. So I initially wasn't like gonna pick this up, but I was traveling this weekend with my wife and we went to a comic shop. I saw an issue 1 on the stand. I thought, you know what? I didn't pull it. Might as well pick it up and see what's going on. I actually really enjoyed Iron Man issue number 1. I'm not like the biggest Tony Stark fan of all time. Like, I think Tony Stark, like I don't like him at all, actually, if I'm being quite honest with you. Every time he's been in a story, it's like, man, this guy's an asshole. Like, and I guess it's like, it's how the writer's writing him, and I guess that's just his personality, but I don't know. I don't vibe with Tony Stark, you know what I mean? I'd rather read some good-hearted people with like no, I don't know. Anyways, I thought this was a good issue though, so I'm going to stop complaining about Tony Stark, because I thought that Josh Williamson brought this extra dimension to him, like kind of like it made him lovable, I guess. And I've never, it's kind of hard to get that vibe from a Tony Stark and other stuff that I've read. This was very much like he's an asshole, but he's kind of like suave with it, and it's like I was like smiling as I was reading this dialogue Whereas as previously, I'd be like, man, Tony Stark, I hate this guy. I was vibing with it in this issue here. So the entire thing is all about, I guess, AIM and Madame Mask have teamed up, and they're trying to, I guess, like they want someone super smart working for them, and they can't have Tony Stark, so they're trying to get other smart people, and they're just kidnapping like a bunch of scientists and teachers and stuff like that. To what end, I'm not sure at this point, but Tony Stark feels very responsible because he kind of put together the short list of all the smart people for this Tony Stark award, and the short list is what AIM is using to kidnap people. So Tony Stark's like, oh, I guess it's kind of my fault if I, put the spotlight on all these smart people and say, hey, they can solve all the world's problems and stuff like that. And yeah, it looks like AIM and Madame Mask kind of took that to heart. So they're kidnapping all these people, and Tony Stark's got to sort of stop it. But we get this sort of tease to the Illuminati potentially spinning back up, right? Because there was some mention of the Illuminati, like right here, like Tony Stark's like, hey, I know we disbanded the Illuminati, but can you meet me? I have something to talk about. And then Captain America looks over on his side, and it looks like all these power players in the Marvel universe. So we'll have to see what happens with that. I don't know necessarily. What does Captain America say? He says how do we take down Tony Stark? So it's like, I don't know why he wants to do that. I don't know. So yeah, I guess overall, I like the issue. I will continue pulling it for at least like the first arc, just to see like where they're going with it. On the art side, I thought the art was really strong. If anything, the art is something to a positive for the series for sure. Anyways, dude, I'm not the biggest Iron Man fan. It's kind of hard for me to talk about Iron Man. Let's talk about Absolute Martian Manhunter instead. This was excellent. Excellent stuff. It's the Martian and our main character, John Jones. He's just trying to split up from him for a second. He's like, listen, can you give me like the night off, man? I got to go home to my wife, try to patch things up. You make it real hard to patch things up with my wife. And the Martian's like, okay, you know what? I feel you. So I'll leave you to it, and I'll go do stuff on my own. But it seems like the Martian got sort of, what's the word for it? I mean, he like sort of fell for like a trap or whatever. And it looks like the Martian is in big trouble. This mysterious like agent sort of dudes or came up on the Martian and sort of put him down and captured him potentially. I like all the stuff with John Jones and his wife trying to patch things up. You get all these cuts to the Martian just experiencing life like without John Jones. Like he's just traveling all around the city, hopping from people's head to people's head, just hanging out for the first bit. But it gets really tragic at this point where the Martian runs into this mysterious guy with like a thought gun, and he's blamming him with, this is not a gun, it's an idea of a gun, America's idea. So you see the sort of, political injections from Dennis Camp. He's always trying to say something, which is why we like Dennis Camp. You get all this really cool imagery from Javier Rodriguez, like this here. Reading this after everything that's been going on in the country was pretty interesting to say the least. Dennis Camp always so prescient with what he writes. And yeah, dude, pretty tragic to see what happens. We got the sniper scope. She's lining it up. She takes the shot. Bam. Green Martian. What's going on with this guy? What's going to happen to him? We'll have to see in the next issue. And also, it looks like our main character, John Jones, is getting, he's got a new sort of Martian messing around in his head. A new partner. Despair. The Zero. Like, all right, man. Dennis Camp, Javier Rodriguez, I'm in for the ride for sure. I got to see what's going on with this. So yeah, Absolute Martian Manhunter, issue number 8. Some people didn't like this issue. Like they said, like, maybe it's like confusing, I guess. It's just more of Dennis Camp and Javier Rodriguez doing Absolute Martian Manhunter. I don't know what you guys are expecting, man. But yeah, let's talk about Bug Wars, the Spider Witch special. Hold on. Paul Dev says another banger issue. Really intrigued to see who Despair the Zero is. Yeah, because it's different than the White Martian. Like I thought White Martian was our main antagonist or whatever, and then we got this Despair the Zero guy. So interesting to see. But let's talk about Bug Wars, the Spider Witch special. We'll get through this one pretty quick because It's a long issue, but it's mostly just focused on this Wista girl that we met in the first volume of Bug Wars. And if you guys don't know what Bug Wars is, it's like the world of all the bugs like living in a backyard, and they're all kind of split up into like the ant clan, the beetle clan, all the mites. They're all riding on top of beetles and stuff, and they ride on top of wasps, and they're flying through the sky, and it's kind of like Game of Thrones. Like they're all going to war with each other all the time. And this was just another great look at the world of Bug Wars, focused on this Wista character, giving her some more backstory, kind of fleshing that out as she's going on this mission, trying to assassinate someone essentially. And yeah, that was the first story, but there were two other stories in this that I really loved. I think that it's cool if Bug Wars continues to do this, like just dropping little one-shot specials that just flesh out the world even more. I thought it was a really great read. So if you are curious about Bug Wars and you're not sure if you want to maybe pick up the full volume number 1, you kind of want to see what the vibe is, definitely check out the Spider-Wish special. I think it'll give you a good sort of look at the world of Bug Wars. And then, yeah, hopefully you can continue reading volume 1. Volume 2 is starting up in a couple months here, I think. So yeah, we're loving Bug Wars. Excited to keep it going. Jason Aaron, Mohamed Asrar. You can tell that they just love kind of the world that they put together, and so much work has gone into it. So yeah, we're really excited to see this continue. Let's talk about Absolute Flash 11 real quick. We know that Wally West is stuck in like a different dimension. He's stuck with this kind of out-of-body version of Barry. So Barry didn't die like we previously thought he might have. He's stuck in the Still. So kind of, I don't know, the eye of a never-ending storm. All this, like when you read a Flash series, you got to get into kind of the nuts and bolts of it and like how it works, and you got the Speed Force and all that stuff. So this is kind of Jeff Lemire working out that part of this Absolute Flash series. And the initial point of Wally West's mission was to team up with the Rogues to go rescue his dad. His dad has been captured by the main villain here. At the same time, as they're trying to go in and rescue the dad, the sort of like, I don't know, this big bad villain dude sort of breaks out. And so the Rogues are dealing with that while Wally's over in the Still, hanging out with Barry, trying to learn what the heck all this stuff is going on, like how he has his powers and stuff like that. So yeah, I would say this issue was pretty solid. It had some great action scenes. We got Nick Robles, the main series artist, coming back in. I think he's got a really cool look for the Flash, and I mean, just look at all the effects you're seeing here. Like, I think it's just a cool read. Like, Nick Robles has a good eye for the Flash and all these different little bits as you see in here. And then the very end, Wally West, he breaks out of the Still. He's back in our main Absolute Universe, and he's going to be fighting. So yeah, I think that this is a pretty solid issue. I guess I'm confused how he got out of the Still or whatever. They didn't really explain that. But anyways, Absolute Flash is a series that's been picking up the last 3 or 4 for sure. Let's talk about Superman 34 real quick. A great issue, DCKO tie-in. This one is really focused on Lois Lane, Superboy Prime, and a sort of cybernetic robot version of Superman. They're trying to get back to the Watchtower so they can stop Darkseid essentially. Booster Gold has been taken over by Darkseid. They don't know that at this point. But yeah, they get into it with some of the evil legion of superheroes that work for Darkseid in the future. So some fun fight scenes there. And then at the same time that's going on, we have, hold on, let me flip to it. Like all the stuff on the, Mercy is trying to help everybody evacuate Earth and everything. And then we get to learning that the, members on the Watchtower, they lost the battle against Booster Gold, Darkseid. We have the Trapper. And yeah, man, I just think that it's kind of tough to recommend this Superman series at this point because it's been going on for so long. It's hard to just jump on and start reading it. But if you've been pulling it for all, 34 issues, as well as I do that this is just a fun series. It's just Josh Williamson is just killing it on the Superman title. All the different pieces, I feel like Josh Williamson just looks at Superman as like a toy chest, and he just opens it up and he can just play with all the stuff that he wants to in the Superman corner of the DC universe. And yeah, we're just having a fun time with it. Superman number 34, pretty solid DCKO tie-in as well. Another DCKO tie-in, Justice League Unlimited number 15, part of the Terrific 10. So we know that Mr. Terrific has gone down into hell to try to stop Neron or whatever from doing stuff. And he took a team of 10 time-displaced heroes, but at this point, they've died. So, 4 of the members of the team have died in hell, and a lot more of them die in this issue as they kind of go on their journey. So that was kind of interesting to see. At the same time, the rest of the Justice League, they're trying to help evacuate people and that sort of thing. So we see like Kid Flash, some new characters that I don't know too much about. Like this guy's name is like the Golden Frog or something like that. Anyways, so they're battling at the same time that Mr. Terrific and the rest of them are going down into hell. So yeah, just a fun DCKO time. Nothing super to write home about. It is cool seeing Dan Mora, more of Dan Mora's artwork. That's always a good time, right? So seeing his look for all the Justice League characters, pretty cool stuff there. Hopefully though, once they get past the DCKO tie-in, like I'm starting to get the flavors of what I was liking in this series initially, like just this group over here of the Justice League doing a mission, or this group over here doing a mission. That's kind of what the series was initially, and I feel like we're kind of getting back to it, which is really cool. Let's talk about G.I. Joe number 18, a great issue following the Dreadnought War. It's all about this dude is trying to get recruited by the bad guys. He doesn't want to get recruited by them, so he kind of has a little bit of a battle with them. He's just trying to live his own life, away from war and battling and everything. He's just trying to make grilled cheese for people, and people keep trying to, come up to him, and because he didn't join the bad guys send a bunch of people to try to kill him. So fighting ensues, of course. And I think this guy's name is, what is his name, dude? G.I. Joe is tough for me because they all have crazy names. His name is Roadblock. So Roadblock getting introduced to the story. We know that he is looking to join. It looks like he agrees to join these good guys. So it looks like Roadblock is going to be a major player in the G.I. Joe side of things. So yeah, another solid issue. Not like the best issue of G.I. Joe of all time, just an introduction to this character, giving us some bits on what Cobra Commander is up to on that side of the conflict, I guess. Planet 628 says, it was funny watching you react to Zartan in a previous video. He is a badass action figure and very popular. Yeah, so I didn't know who Zartan was, but apparently people were saying he's the most popular member of the Dreadnoks, and so that was a cool reveal for those who know who Zartan is. It was still cool for me, just knowing that this guy wasn't who we thought it was, right? But having that extra layer, like, oh, that's Zartan. Yeah, I didn't pick up on that like when it first dropped. Let's talk about Skinbreaker really quick. Skinbreaker number 5. So first thing I'm gonna say, David Finch, dude, you're like the most insane artist of all. Look at, as I'm flipping through in the comments, you guys look at this in the chat. This is crazy. Like all the detail is nuts. This is insane stuff. It's all about this tribe that's going through some conflict, right? Like who's going to run the tribe? Should we go back to our old ways, or should we keep pushing it forward and using traps and stuff like that, using aqueducts to move water around instead of carrying it with a bucket? Some members of the tribe want to go back to the old ways. They feel like this technology is making them worse as a tribe. And this guy, our main chief dude, he's trying to take his tribe in the future and say, hey, listen, guys, we can set up traps so we don't have to hunt so crazy. We can just, set up the trap and boom, we got food right there. But this guy, not a big fan of that plan. And so they're kind of, got the different cults of personality or whatever, like who's going to be, whose way for the tribe is going to win, I guess. And yeah, I would say from a story perspective, I'm not like in love with what's going on here. It's kind of weird because our main chieftain dude, we saw that he like sort of gave up a little bit. Like he's living in the woods. He's still kind of protecting his tribe, but from the woods. I just thought it was a really interesting sort of choice. But from an art perspective, this has to be like the one of the best looking books on stand. It's crazy, dude. Like, look at all this detail. Like, David Finch had to pencil that shit, dude. Like, he had to put the lines. It's crazy. So yeah, as I'm looking through this, reading Skinbreaker takes me like 30 minutes because I'm just staring at the page. Like, what is this guy doing, man? I've never seen a comic with this much detail. It's actually insane. But yeah, Skinbreaker number 5. An all right story. Not the biggest fan of all time, but from an art perspective, it's just breathtaking. But yeah, those are the comic book reviews for the week. So we went over the poll list. We went over the comic book reviews. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So those are the comic book reviews. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know down in the comments what your favorite thing of the week, favorite read of the week is, and while you're down there, like if you like, sub if you love, and if you really like it, you can hype it. That helps out the channel in more ways than you guys know, man. Because I guess with channels that are around this size, hyping has like a multiplying effect, so it really helps. Anyways, dude, let's get into the big topic for today. The last topic, I think we're going to kind of blow through it. I don't imagine we'll take too long doing this, but let's talk about all of the new number ones for February, all the new comic book series that are starting this month, or just in general, like the one-shots that interest me. So we talked about it a little bit earlier, but we got DCKO Boss Battle. This is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. We got Sub-Zero, we got Vampirella, we got Red Sonja. They're all getting introduced to the DCKO event. So we'll have to see what happens with that. We got Annabelle the doll. We got like Homelander. Like, what's going to come of this? Are any of these characters going to stay in the DC universe? Probably not, right? But just so wild seeing that this is possible, I guess. Like all these publishers partnering up and sharing their characters like this. So DCKO Boss Battle. Hopefully my shop can save me a copy because this comes out on February 4th, this new comic book day. Written by Jeremy Adams, artist Carmine Di Giamenico. He's doing the art for the upcoming Deathstroke series. That's pretty cool. But yeah, DCKO Boss Battle. Craziness. So we'll have to see what happens with that. Over on the Marvel side, also coming out on February 4th, we have Magic and Colossus issue 1. The mutant siblings reunite. Illyana Rasputin, of course, and then we got Peter Rasputin. This is written by Ashley Allen with art from German Peralta. So yeah, if you're into the X-Men stuff, you guys are probably excited about this. I know Magic is a really popular character right now from Marvel Rivals, of course, everyone getting to know her over there. So yeah, Magic Colossus issue 1. If you're into that, that's coming out February 4th. Let's talk about this Marvel and DC present Superman and Spider-Man Treasury Edition number 1. This is a reprint of the classic story. If you guys can see, wait, actually, you see up there? Where am I pointing down? Right there. That's the first crossover facsimile they did, the Versus one, but it looks like this one is going to be the other crossover. So I got to pick this up. Kind of matches that thing I just showed you. That's pretty cool. So yeah, this is a story that's from, when did it initially come out? 1981? So that's crazy. I think 1981. So yeah, looking forward to picking this up. Cool little collectible there. Talking about little one-shots, they like to celebrate Valentine's Day, all the different publishers. So we have Superman Chains of Love special. This is going to be the Creeper he's falling in love with Livewire. So a fun little story featuring the Creeper and Livewire. And we see there Superman is not a big fan of these people falling in love, I guess, dude. What's up with that? Let them fall in love. But yeah, little one-shot celebrating Valentine's Day. These are pretty fun sometimes. I think for me, sometimes these appear on the app like the day of. So I don't know if I'll be picking this one up, but Lee Williams, Ig Guerra, those are the creatives attached, as you guys can see there. So yeah, fun little Creeper Livewire story, Superman, The Chains of Love, coming out on February 4th. In the chat, Derek Seaborn asks, does anyone know if Vikings Moon issue 3 hits this month? I'm not sure. Haven't been reading that one. Paul Dev asks, imagine Samantha getting stuck in the DC universe, LMAO. Yeah, dude. That's what's like What are you talking about? Samantha the bear is in this comic. She's not even a human, bro. Like, it's crazy. Anyways, we'll have to see what happens with that. Let's talk about Planet of the Apes versus the Fantastic Four coming out on February 4th. Written by Josh Trujillo and Andrea Di Vito. Worlds collide. Marvel's first family finds themselves stranded on the Planet of the Apes. Witness history as the Fantastic Four cross paths with for the first time with Cornelius, Zira, and Ursa, and of course Dr. Zaius. I'm a big fan of Planet of the Apes. It sounds like this is the original like Planet of the Apes movie, like the first one. So yeah, Fantastic Four, Planet of the Apes. Marvel's been doing this a lot lately, where they cross over with aliens, they're crossing over with Predator, right? So looks like they're also crossing over with Planet of the Apes, some of the Marvel characters. So that's pretty fun. February 4th, that's coming out. Last thing for February 4th, a new series at Image called Dork. I guess this is a world with elves, light and dark. You got elves and orcs, wizards versus common sense, dragons versus literally everyone else, and caught dead center, Dork. I guess this guy is half orc, half dwarf, and he's with a wholly inconvenient doomsday prophecy. The half dwarf, half orc is fated to end the world. So if you're into like high fantasy sort of stories, looks like a new one coming out of Image is pretty fun. Brett Bean and John Francois Boulot creative team attached to that. So yeah, man, I probably not for me. Maybe that one's like for younger audiences. I'm not sure. Over at Oni Press the following week for February 11th, we have a new one shot called Tortured Hearts. I've been really enjoying all of the EC Comics stuff, so it looks like this is going to be the next 56-page coffin-shaped bouquet of brutality in Tortured Hearts #1, a giant-size special featuring a bunch of stories. I'm sure a lot of creatives attached to it. Looks like this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, potentially 5 stories, so that's pretty fun. If you're into EC Comics, if you're into Oni Press, this one might be one to pick up. Celebrating Halloween, little horror Halloween, celebrating Valentine's Day, little horror Valentine's Day kind of read. From Marvel Comics, we have Jar Jar #1, a Star Wars story. This is written by Ahmed Best, doing some, writing his own character that he played in the movies. I think that's pretty cool. Always cool seeing the people that were attached to the original projects coming back and sort of breathing new life into characters that they're known for. So Ahmed Best getting a chance to write some Jar Jar stuff. That's pretty cool. Jar Jar Returns, co-written by Jar Jar himself, Ahmed Best. So this one is going to be, it's classic, right? Because episode 3, Jar Jar faces the consequences of giving emergency powers to the Chancellor Palpatine. What pivotal role does Jar Jar play in the formation of the Rebel Alliance? So yeah, it's what happened right after episode 3 leading into A New Hope or whatever. Just kind of the fallout of Jar Jar's tragic vote. Jar Jar #1 coming out on February 11th from Marvel Comics. Also from Marvel, we've got Wade Wilson Deadpool. Looks like this is going to be a new ongoing series, they say, from Benjamin Percy, Jeff Shaw. It looks like dangerous, unhinged, deadly Deadpool is a man on the brink, and that means the jobs are deadlier, the stakes are higher, and the humor is darker than ever before. If you're into Deadpool, you probably want to pick this one up. The new ongoing series begins on February 11th from Marvel Comics. Jumping over to DC, we got a new DC Black Label series starting up called Sirens Love Hurts. If you're into Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, Catwoman, and Black Canary, all written by Teenie Howard and Babs Tarr on the art. So this is a kind of a return for a lot of stuff that people like over at DC. That cast of characters is a really fun cast of characters, and then Teenie Howard and Babs Tarr coming in. So that's going to be one to pick up if you're into any of those creatives, for any of those characters. That should be pretty cool. Sirens Love Hurts from DC Black Label on February 11th. This will probably be a 4-issue series, I imagine. Yeah, it looks like it. So cool. Sirens Love Hurts. Mark Spector Moon Knight. Moon Knight getting a new #1. This is written by Jed MacKay, who's been killing it over at the Moon Knight side of things. He's been writing a lot of Marvel stuff in general, but his Moon Knight stuff in particular, I was a big fan of. When it first started, I kind of fell off of it. But it says, Moon Knight missing. Mark Spector may have been many things: an Avenger, a Fist of Khonshu, a Karnak cowboy, and now kidnapped. But by whom and why? They don't have an idea. They've trapped Moon Knight. So yeah, pretty interesting. Kind of set up for the story. Another Moon Knight series starting up. Okay, Marvel. One more from Marvel on February 11th. Cyclops #1. This one-eyed mutant, one-eyed X-Men Unleashed. Scott Summers is a mutant who is always in near total control of his powers and his emotions. But what happens when he's separated from the X-Men, lost in a mountain wilderness without the visor that keeps his devastating powers in check? Will he be able to stay alive when Donald Pierce and his cyborgs, the Reavers, are hunting him? It's a tale of the X-Men's leader at his most savage core. So if you're into Cyclops, you might want to check this one out from Alex Packnadell and Roger Antonio. Cool. Cyclops getting a little series, probably a little mini, and might be a really long time since Cyclops has had his own series, like his own self-titled series. All right, now we're getting into some DC Vertigo, because on February 11th, Bleeding Hearts comes out. The zombies have won, and 10 years after the fall of humanity, they're the dominant form of life on Earth. We know that the zombies have been zombies for so long on Earth. They start developing their own culture, their own language. Some weirdness stuff is going on. Our main character, as we see here on the cover, his name is Poke, and his heart starts beating again one day. And he's like, that's not supposed to happen. I'm dead. I'm a zombie. Hearts are not supposed to be beating. So yeah, Dennis Camp, Stepan Morian, going to be bringing us some weirdness with this one, I'm sure. Excellent creative team attached all the way across the board. I mean, you got Matt Hollingsworth, one of the most celebrated colorists in the game. Hassan Otsmane-Lehu, the best letterer in the game. So this is going to be one to pick up for sure. Bleeding Hearts #1 out on February 11th from DC Vertigo. So anticipating this, I can't even tell you guys. DC Vertigo coming back. Pretty fun stuff. The next week, right after that, we have End of Life, another DC Vertigo title. This one is all about professional hitman Eddie Stallion. So he's a hitman. He goes back home to like visit his dad or something like that. And as he's doing that, a bunch of other hitmen like come and they try to kill him, I guess. So we're going to see what happens with Eddie. Written by Kyle Starks, art from Steve Pugh. If you guys haven't read Peacemaker Tries Hard, definitely check it out. It's pretty fun, pretty good series there. DC Black Label as well. But yeah, they're teaming up again to bring us End of Life. This one I'm anticipating not as much as the other DC Vertigos, though. This one's probably like in the middle of the pack for me in terms of what I'm looking forward to for DC Vertigo. But yeah, could be in for a ride. I think that Steve Pugh has pretty cool art style, and Kyle Starks is a really funny writer, so I'm sure that one's going to be at least a funny read. Talking about Marvel Comics on February 18th, they have a new Wolverine series starting up. This is going to be, it says it's the first chapter of the biggest Wolverine story in years, and one that will have a major impact on the future of the Marvel Universe. This is written by Chip Zdarsky. Very eyebrow raising. What is Chip Zdarsky doing over here? He's writing a Wolverine series. I think this is, as we can see on the cover here, Armageddon assembles this summer. This is Wolverine Weapons of Armageddon. So I think this is obviously going to tie into the Armageddon events that Chip Zdarsky is heading up later this year. But my question is, do I need to pick this up? If I'm not like the biggest X-Men guy, like I haven't read so much X-Men, is this like a must-read series? Is the first good starting place for someone trying to get into Wolverine? I don't know. We'll have to stay, keep our eyes out for that one coming out on February 18th. Chip Zdarsky, Luca Maresca on the art. So that's pretty cool. Wolverine Weapons of Armageddon. Paul Dev in the chat says, Moon Knight has been amazing. This is going to be great and seems to be inspired by the Jeff Lemire run. That's cool. I did read the Jeff Lemire run. And yeah, I got to get back to the Jed MacKay stuff because I thought that was like a highlight out of Marvel Comics for sure. I just fell off of it at some point. But yeah, Got to get back to it. White Sky #1 out of Image Comics. 5 years ago, the sky turned white and the world ended. Violet and her father David are forced out of hiding and flee towards the ruins of San Francisco, where they believe they'll be safe. But in this haunted world ruled by ghosts, no place is safe. William Harms and Jean Paul Mavinga, they're bringing us White Sky. So on February 18th, pretty interesting setup. When I read the solicit, it gave me the vibes of The Road, that Cormac McCarthy book that I'm a fan of the graphic novel adaptation nowadays. I don't say I'm a fan of the book because that author is a huge piece of shit apparently, but the graphic novel adaptation was really good and it gave me sort of the vibes of that. Also, just from like the cover, getting like a Geiger sort of vibe a little bit, just a little bit, like post-apocalyptic, you know what I mean? But then turns out there's ghosts everywhere. Sure, dude. That one could be an interesting read for sure. White Sky, February 18th from Image Comics. All right, we got 4 more to talk about before we end this new comic book weekly. We got Phantom of the Opera, issue 1 coming out February 25th from Image Skybound. We have writer Tyler Boss and artist Martin Simmons. Martin Simmons did the art for the Dracula series, and he's also on Department of Truth? Yeah. He's on Department of Truth, right? Yeah, I think so. Martin Simmons, Department of Truth, Dracula, yeah. And then Tyler Boss, he's coming off a pretty cool year. He did the series You'll Do Bad Things. So that's a great slasher horror series. So Tyler Boss is a great pick for this Phantom of the Opera. I don't know too much about Phantom of the Opera just in general, but if it's got that slasher sort of vibes, Tyler Boss just showed that he's, more than capable in bringing us a story with those. So yeah, Universal Monsters, Phantom of the Opera, starting on February 25th. Excited for that. Phantom of the Opera, or like the Universal Monster stuff has all been pretty sick. So looking forward to that. Punisher #1. Punisher getting a new ongoing series from writer Benjamin Percy. Crime's worst nightmare is back in an all-new ongoing series. As unflinching and uncompromising as ever, Frank Castle's memory is damaged, and he's hunting for answers and criminals alike. He'll get more than what he bargained for of both when the notorious and bloodthirsty Jigsaw returns with the Punisher dead in his sights. So I heard that the current Punisher Red Band series, a little mini, has been really solid. People are liking that. Seems like Benjamin Percy has a good voice for the Punisher, and I'm thinking that if you're a Punisher fan, this is probably going to be one to pick up. So Punisher #1, February 25th from Marvel Comics. The last 2, one of them is DC Vertigo. This is probably the one I'm most exciting about, like most anticipating, I'll be honest with you guys. Because we got Chris Connon and Jacob Phillips. I am such a fan of this duo. Such good stuff. The Enfield Gang Massacre. That Texas Blood is one of my favorite all-time series. So really loving that they're teaming up, bringing us a DC Vertigo title. And I'll leave the solicit here if you guys want to read it. But essentially, it's going to be like a private investigator guy, but he's also an archaeologist. So think like the crime and noir stuff you love, but he's also Indiana Jones. And I guess what's going to happen is there's like an evil organization. It's got sort of magic kind of undertones, but they're in control of this like super powerful artifact. And so our main guy, Ezra Kane, has got to go and potentially get it back. So introduces us to a private eye whose business is exposing our deepest secrets. But on this job, he'll learn that some mysteries are better left off buried. And he's going to be fighting fascism as well, just like Indiana Jones. And so we're really excited about The Peril of the Brutal Dark and Ezra Kane Mystery. Got to be my most anticipated out of the DC Vertigo line. And then, last but not least, out of Mad Cave Studios, we have Is Ted Okay? This is from writer-artist Dave Chisholm. I'm a huge fan of Dave Chisholm's stuff. He does some really excellent just stuff all around, usually over on the art side, but I think he's a really strong writer as well. So this series sounds like it's going to be, it's this guy named Ted. He's going crazy, and he's not doing so hot. I guess a girl from like an organization or whatever, her job is to monitor Ted and make sure that he's, make sure that he's himself, I guess, or make sure that he doesn't crack. So she's going to be watching that. And then at some point, she's going to try to compassionately intervene to help. that's when things go catastrophically wrong. So I don't know exactly what to expect with this series. I know that the cover is giving us some. It's just a great. It's just a great vibe. Like I'm just so into this. Dave Chisholm. It's a cover that says a lot. You know what I mean? Like I'm just so down for this solicit. I thought it was a really good write up as well. It says that it's got the mashup of paranoid existentialism of Severance with the cosmic sci-fi of Akira. So it's like, okay, sounds good, Dave. Don't know exactly what to expect, like I was saying, but we know that Dave Chisholm is going to be bringing us the writing and the art. So I'm in for it. Mad Cave Studios is Ted OK out on February 25th. But I think that's it, dude. Those are all the issue number ones that I want to talk about. All the different one shots for the month of February. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know down in the comments, what are you most anticipating? Doesn't have to be from that list I just did. If it's a number one that's coming out in February, I would love to hear your thoughts on it. And while you're down there leaving a comment, like if you like, sub if you love, and if you really like it, you can hype it. And that'll do it for New Comic Book Weekly. Hopefully you guys enjoyed hearing about my pull list. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the comic book reviews. And hopefully you guys got some new number ones that you potentially want to pick up for the month of February for your local comic book store. And yeah, thanks to everybody for joining me. Another New Comic Book Weekly. You guys know we're doing this every single Monday around 4 p.m. Eastern. Shout out to Paul Dev. Shout out to Derek Seaborn. Planet628. Chris Warwick. Sorry if I butchered your last name. We got Tommy B as well. So yeah, thanks to everybody for joining. And I'll catch you guys in the next New Comic Book Weekly. Really appreciate you coming on out.